Speaking of power of the people, I'm glad the media requests help free Lucas. The more trials and media coverage, the more facts and transparency help citizens like Lucas to be freed. Snowflakes melt when it's hot, kid.
Snowflakes melt when it's hot, kid.
Yep, they do. They do. Those of you who may have missed my stream last night, you may not have been here when I had Adam DeAngelis come on here, who's known as Rescue Michigan, and tell me that formally, they'll give me the formal news that Lucas Gerhard had accepted a plea deal and that it was all signed, sealed, and delivered. Adam says, plea deal done. Thank you for your support. Returning to your question, liberty and justice exist only where people fight for it and win. The horse is ready for battle, but the outcome is of the Lord. Keep up the fight. I spoke with Lucas. I had Lucas's dad together with Adam and Lucas's attorney on my stream here roughly 6 to 8 months ago. I'm trying to bring attention to his case. Just to be clear for everyone, so you're Lucas Gerhard's father, right?
I am his father, yes. He's 22 now. He's been in custody for almost 3 years now.
This is really a case about First Amendment rights. And for the background of this case, I guess it's appropriate we start with his father. And the reason that we don't have Lucas on here is because part of the terms of his release from an actual prison, he's under house arrest in your house. Is that correct, Colonel?
That is correct. Yeah, the bond conditions are pretty withering for a 20-something-year-old young man. He's not allowed to engage on the internet at all. He can't have a smartphone. He can't, of course, go online. He can't even watch a streaming. He can't watch Netflix because that's technically an online streaming service. So yeah, he can't leave the house. He's on a tether. He's been on a tether since November of 19.
What led to his arrest?
Absolutely. So it's a wild story. Lucas was going to school up in Sault Ste. Marie, Michigan, which is in the Upper Peninsula, to a small school called Lake Superior State University. He was very committed to becoming involved in law enforcement some way, either state, local, federal. He wanted to be a cop. And Lake Superior State happens to have a very good, very solid criminal justice program. They're known for it. So the other thing is we visited the campus, and Lake State, as an anomaly, has an on-campus armory, which up in the UP, it's a different culture. It's a gun culture, if you will. They hunt, they shoot. Outdoor recreation, outdoor sports is very popular. So they have an on-campus armory that any student can store pretty much anything they want. It's a double locked door inside the public safety building. Students have to go in and check out their guns or their bows or knives or whatever they have. And it's an honor system where they basically, you see students traipsing across campus with broken down shotguns and pistols and so forth. So Lucas was really, really hyped on that because he wants to be a cop. He wants to learn how to shoot. So he enrolled. He was there for 2 years. During that period, he had gotten embroiled in a ideological dispute with some very left-leaning feminist groups that were opposed to some of the things he had said as far as female in law enforcement. Basically, his first semester on campus, he had in a snap, very honestly, in an open snap group, had said, "Hey, I don't have a problem with females in law enforcement, but I don't think they should lower their standards in order to get more females into law enforcement." And right. They went absolutely bananas over that, and they became very very hostile, attacked him consistently. His car was vandalized. I mean, he went through a lot. He eventually blocked a lot of them on his Snapchat. He wanted to buy an AR-15. I said, you know what? I had taken him to the range. I've been around weapons my entire life, 30 years in the Marine Corps. And I took him to the range. He was very safe, very conscientious. I had no issues with him getting a rifle. And that's a popular sport up there. I mean, instead of, a lot of things that teenagers do down here in the lower peninsula, up there, it's all involved. They go out and shoot. They go out and hunt. Very outdoors driven. So he bought the rifle. He worked his tail off at a local diner, bussing tables, waiting tables, hosting, and made enough money to buy a Colt AR-15. And the night before he was getting ready to go up to school. He posted a Snapchat picture of that rifle. So Lucas posted a picture of his rifle against his school stuff, and he was a Oakland County Sheriff's Deputy cadet, and so he had some gear from that. And he was also obviously in the criminal justice program up there. So he posted just a picture of the rifle. Happened to have a scary bayonet on the end of it, and that said, basically, I'm bringing this. Hey, what do you think? I'm bringing this bad boy up. This ought to melt some snowflakes. By snowflakes, I mean snow, with a little jokey winky face afterwards. What happened with that was it was sent to a closed. Right, that's it, right there.
Yeah. So
it was sent to a closed Snapchat group. Only the people that he selected to see that, and basically it was a joke to them, and it's a running joke up there with snowflakes. I mean, the UP has snow 3/4 of the year. It just so happened that one of the young women that he had blocked saw this on someone else's phone, and that picture is actually the picture from the police report. That is a picture of a picture. She took a picture of the other person's phone with her phone and reported it as a crime. In my mind, knowing full well what she was doing.
Oh no, the forecast said that there'd be snowflakes. Whoa.
Lucas, not knowing this, drives up to school the next morning, gets on the campus. The first thing he does before he does anything else, drives up to the public safety building, gets the rifle out with the ammunition, carts it over to the public safety building, checks it in. They put it under double lock and key. He can't get to it unless they say he can. And he goes to his room, unloads his gear. And a few hours later, we're talking like 5 or 6 hours later, gets a knock on his door from public safety and Sault Ste. Marie police wanting to talk to him about this post. And well, Lucas called me right after that and said, "Dad, I think I'm in trouble." I'm like, "Son, you've been up to school for like 3 hours. What the hell?" And he said, "Well, yeah, I don't know what's going on, but this happened." I said, "Well, are you concerned?" And Lucas is the type of guy that, when I say, "Hey, do you want me to come up there?" 99 times out of 100, say, "Dad, don't worry about it. It's gonna be good." This time he said, "Yeah, I'd appreciate it if you came up." So I'm like, "Okay." So I took a day off of work, drove up to the UP and hung out with him. And he had a single room in the dorms. And I said, "I'll just stay here tonight, son. Don't worry about this. This is obviously a joke. This is, you have nothing to worry about on this." And well, he did. The next morning, about 8 in the morning, we get a knock on the door, and it's the police again with the public safety and some of the school administration people. And they take him into custody for making a terroristic threat, basically.
His trial is supposed to start tomorrow. And one of the things that Adam and others have been pushing for was that we should have cameras in the courtroom. This was a big thing. The importance of cameras in the courtroom cannot possibly be overstated. There is nothing that can be of more importance to anyone who cares about fairness and justice, which I believe is really 90% of Americans. And I don't care what side of the political aisle they're on. At the end of the day, I believe that you are part of that 90% of the American people, which really give a lot more of a damn about justice than my side winning. I believe that much more than 90% of Americans genuinely care about fairness and justice. That's the universal commonality that we all share. And we saw that in the Johnny Depp trial. How ultimately everyone wanted fairness and truth to prevail. It wasn't about gender. It was about who was right and who was wrong. Who really was doing something wrong and who really hadn't. And that's why transparency is so important. And that is why I will use my platform, however possible, to push you to help push for greater and greater transparency, whether it's government, whether it's the policing agencies, whether it's our court systems. All three branches of justice must be held accountable. There must be transparency in all facets. We are living at a time where transparency is easier to have than ever before. Every idiot has at least one cell phone, if not more. It is so easy for everything to be recorded, to be filtered, to be shared and displayed with the entire country, nay, the entire world. It is so easy to have transparency. We would have seen so much more injustice. There is no possible way No possible way that Johnny Depp would have had the universal support if not for the fact that you got to see with your own eyes the testimony of the people who testified on his behalf and Amber Heard testifying and people testifying on her behalf. And because otherwise you just get a transcript and it's just words. And it's like, well, he's saying he did nothing wrong. She's saying he did all those things wrong. I can't tell what the truth is. I don't know. But when you see it for yourself, there's transparency. That's what leads to true accountability, fair accountability, justice. And that's what people started calling for happening in the courtroom. And the judge started hearing all these calls for the Gerhard case, Lucas case that was coming up this week to be publicized. And he's in a tough position because it's not like it's federal court where everything is assumed to be that it's going to be kept out. This was in a state court where things are supposed to be more transparent. It's supposed to be more available to the public. And I plan on having Lucas on my show in the very, very, very near future. This week, I plan on having him on my show, Lucas himself, discussing what he went through and everything that he experienced. And I am confident he will tell you that part of the reason he got this plea deal, if not the entire reason, is because the judge twisted the DA's arm into giving a deal. And when the judge wanted to give a deal initially, he wanted to have a minor felony, a small felony, and Lucas and his team said, no, we're not accepting any felony at all. And the judge kept pressuring until ultimately he ended up getting him a type of deal, which ultimately he's not going to have anything on his permanent record. Because there was nothing to this claim. This was not a violation. This was, if anything, an infringement on his First Amendment rights. In fact, when he gets here, I expect that we're going to hear, hopefully, him describing some of the abuses that he suffered while he was being incarcerated by the police. Terrible, terrible injustices that this poor kid suffered, which need to be redressed. He needs to get, I'm hoping that this kid ends up suing the county or the state for millions of dollars for the abuses that this kid suffered. This is wrong. Terrible, unfair injustices. These are 2 years in the prime of his life, which he will never get back again. That he was locked away in a house like a hermit for no reason at all. But the only reason this comes out the way it does is because of your power and my power and the power of all of us acting as a collective, demanding accountability. That is your strength. That is your power. And most people, I recognize, don't have a platform like I have that they can talk to thousands of people. Trust me, 10 minutes ago, I didn't have a platform. 10 minutes ago, I didn't have anyone I could talk to. 10 minutes ago, I was just like you. Not literally 10 minutes ago. But as recently as a year ago, when I would be talking right now, I would be praying to get 50 people listening to me. And now I'm talking to 1,000 people. You never know how the size of your megaphone is going to change. But even if you never end up increasing the size of your megaphone, never underestimate your own significance. You are incredibly, incredibly, incredibly significant. Not just the individuals around you, but the ripple effect of what you tell people and the messages you convey to others has such an overwhelming force, a tsunami force that you never can fully appreciate. Is it live streamed? Is it going to be on camera? Tell me yes. Please tell me yes. Please.
I can tell you I'm going to be doing all I can to stir the pot in that county in the lead up to the trial to get as much media coverage about this case as we possibly can.
Yeah.
So the jurors aren't walking in cold thinking this is like another Oxford thing.
Right.
We're going to be going hard at the judge, hard at the prosecutor, and we have a substantial list of people in Chippewa County and elsewhere. They're going to come out for this.
Snowflakes melt when it's hot, kid.
By the way, when I said what I just said, obviously Matt Granda does not endorse that. Neither does.
No, so censorship, I know it's kind of new to the rest of the country right now. Censorship has been alive and strong in the bar associations for quite some time. There is a limit to what I can and can't say.
So I'm urging you to keep demanding accountability, keep demanding transparency, keep demanding visibility. We're past this stage. We need to start recognizing that I have plenty of allies who identify as being Democrats. You have plenty of allies who identify as being conservatives. This is not about how people have traditionally identified. because it's become more and more transparent that it doesn't matter what side of the aisle people are sitting on, whether they call themselves Republican, they call themselves Democrat. Unfortunately, the leaders at the top, most of them suck and only care about themselves. 95% of them. And the only influence and sway we have over them is that we demand accountability, because we know our media is going to lie to us. And our media is going to lie to us whether you're listening to Fox News or CNN or ABC News or NBC News or MSNBC News. All they care about is dividing us. We need transparency, demanding transparency. It's so easy to provide it. The only reason for it to not be provided by either side is because someone is trying to hide something from us. And the more accountability we demand, the more transparency we demand, the more successful we'll be in getting that, and ultimately start weeding past the complete total BS that's thrown at us in our typical news media cycles, in the rinse cycles, no matter who's washing the news towards us. This story here should give you heart. Transparency is coming, but we need to keep screaming for it, demanding it. That is where we have our strength. That is where we have our power. That is where you have your power. And collectively, that is something we all should be screaming for. Every one of us should be screaming for more transparency, more cameras, more visibility, more access to information. Instead of locking away because, oh, it might look bad for this politician or for that judge or from whomever. More access, more exposure to direct sources of information rather than getting our information filtered to us through some news lens which is trying to feed us a particular agenda, whether that agenda is from the left or that agenda is from the right. I don't want the filtration. I just want hardcore access to the actual primary sources. So I don't have to listen to the spin that's being given to me in whatever source I'm listening to, because everyone's got their own stupid spin at the end of the day.